Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to the Women in Politics #AskHer podcast series. My name is Maria Rango, and I'm one of the board members of Women in Politics. The 2020 #AskHer campaign was launched by Women in Politics to really help encourage women that are considering running for office to run and get different resources from us. So we are interviewing women who have either been elected or have run for office to offer their advice and their experience, really to help inspire women to enter in this race. We hope to achieve the goal of having more women in politics, really their voices heard and having more of their ideas at the decision-making tables. So today we have the pleasure of welcoming Deb Matthews, who served as the 10th Deputy Premier of Ontario and was also a Liberal member of the Legislative Assembly of Ontario until 2018, to tell us a little bit about her experience. So welcome.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Wonderful. So how about we begin a little bit about telling us about your decision, what really inspired your initial decision to run?
Yeah, so I'd been involved in politics a lot. My family was pretty political, and so it was something I was comfortable with politics. I already knew probably more than I realized, but I decided to actually run myself. Before that, I'd just been in the background volunteering. I decided to run in 2003 because I was just really unhappy with the direction that the Mike Harris, Ernie Eves government was going. My motivation has always been about social justice issues. And I think we should be focused on trying to narrow the gap between the haves and the have-nots. And I really felt that everything that government was doing served to widen the gap between the haves and the have-nots. So I ran in 2003. I ran in a riding where I was very much the underdog, but I took it on because I really thought I wanted to have that conversation in the community.
That is wonderful. Was there like a moment or something that happened that you just made you take that step and really helped you commit, even though you were coming in as, let's say, an underdog, like you said?
Yeah, it's funny. I do actually remember the moment. I was a student at Western at the time. I went back as a mature student to finish my BA, and I ended up with a PhD. So I liked being at school. And I was involved in a protest on rising tuition fees. So my three kids were all at school at the same time. The four of us were all at school together. And one of my daughters and I walked down from the university to the constituency office of Diane Cunningham, who was the minister of training colleges and universities, and is the person I ended up defeating. But I walked down with this group of people to protest at her office, and a young woman named Paris Myler, she was in high school at the time, gave the most impassioned speech about the importance of access to education. And I remember thinking to myself, Paris and others at that event were doing everything they could. They were exercising all of their capital, their human capital, to drive change. And I had a little chat with myself and asked myself, was I doing everything I could do? Was I exercising all of my human capital to fight for what I believed in? And it was at that moment I decided to run.
Wow. That is a great story. That is so like touching. I always believe that it's like, if you really want to make a change, you have the means to do it, go ahead and like put that step forward, because not a lot of people have the chance to really have that voice and be heard. So that is. So when you were either in your campaign, not sure if there's a big moment, or maybe in office, about like maybe the biggest hurdle that you had to overcome to either have your voice heard or, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, everybody in politics has had a different experience. I feel really lucky that I won the first time that I ran. and I was reelected 3 more times. But that's not to say it was without challenges. It was. There were challenges, and I think if I really had to identify what the biggest challenges was, it was confidence. I think women going into politics really have to think about their confidence, and they have to work to build up their confidence, because voters want the person they're voting for they want to have confidence in that person, right? And if you don't have confidence in yourself, you won't have confidence in, or other people won't have confidence in you. So I always advise women to do the homework, to really get comfortable with the substance of the issues, but also the motivation behind that. So what really drives them, so they can say with confidence what it is they believe in.
Wow, that's that hit home a little bit. I love that. That's great.
Well, I just think
Wonderful.
you have to know who you are. You have to know what at your core, because politics is hard, right? It's hard. It's time consuming. It's demanding physically and emotionally, and it's demanding on the people around you. So you want to go in as strongly as you can.
Of course, makes sense. I guess when it all came out, were you sort of surprised with something that like happened during it, like maybe during your campaign trail or in office? Either was that maybe your biggest challenge was your own self-confidence, or just something interesting about that?
Well, I ran the first time I ran in 2003. It was against 2 other women. So we were 3 women representing the 3 major parties running for office. So I never had to, although I did have people saying, I'm going to vote for you because you're a woman, we need more women in politics. I didn't tell them that the other candidates are also women. Any vote is a good vote. So I didn't have to deal with that so much. I do remember knocking on, I knocked on doors for about a year before the election. I knocked on a lot of doors and talked to a lot of people, which is the best education you can ever get, is to canvass and listen to what people have to tell you at the door. It's extraordinary how much you learn about the people in your community and the challenges that they face. It was the best education ever. But I remember one door I knocked on was a gentleman that I happened to know, and he was a big conservative. And he told me, he said, I'm a big conservative, but I'm going to vote for you. And that was a big moment for me, because I realized, okay, I have a shot. I have a shot. If this fellow is going to support me, then I just might win. So, I mean, your experience in the campaign is sort of this big combination of different people you meet along the way and the things that they say.
That's perfect. Yeah, clearly they saw something in you, your like passion for it, and they're like, this is the best person for that job. Even let's say their party wasn't necessarily what they would normally align with. So
yeah,
that's
wonderful.
But
I have to say, most people vote more on party than they do on person. It's important that you're the right person for the candidacy, for sure. But I don't think people should take it personally when they don't win, because it may well be more about their party than it was about anything to do with them.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And the other thing I think is that people go, a lot more people lose than win, right? Most candidates actually are not successful, but that doesn't mean that it wasn't really important what they did. So I think people should be really proud that they had the courage to run, and they should work as hard as they can to win. But if they don't win, that doesn't mean they haven't been successful. So I think we should everybody who puts their name on a ballot and everybody who supports someone who puts their name on a ballot should be really proud of the contribution that they're making.
Was there any sort of, or more, I'm going to leave it a little bit more open-ended. Can you tell me a little bit about your experience as just a woman in office? And I know you ran against 2 other women, but how was your experience maybe sitting at an areas that maybe weren't dominated by women?
Yeah. You know, somebody once said, don't ask me what it's like to be a woman in politics, because I've never been a man in politics. So, you don't know. But I do think in retrospect that women are not taken as seriously as men. When I was first named health minister, there were a number of people, including a journalist who wrote about this, who basically questioned my ability to do the job because I was too nice. So I think in that, and I felt at the time that was probably not something they would have said about a guy. So, they questioned, am I tough enough to take on the challenges in the Ministry of Health? So I did feel there was a bit of low expectations because I was a woman. I think I earned the respect of those people subsequently. In fact, I had people tell me that once I had the opportunity to show what I could do, they actually regretted questioning that. But it's and I think women in a meeting room, in a cabinet room, for example, we now have a lot more women than there used to be, but still by no means is there a majority of women. And I think it goes back to the confidence. I think women need to support each other, and I think women need to. And I don't mean that you always have to vote for somebody because they're a woman. Yeah. What I mean by that is be respectful, listen to their arguments, don't support them in their articulation of their point of view. And I think we've still got a ways to go for women to be able to really feel confident and feel like they belong at that table.
I agree. So I guess to start wrapping it up a little bit, what advice and really guidance do you think you would offer women who are just starting to run for political office or are thinking about running in the future?
I think the most important thing is what I started with, which is know who you are, know what your values are, know what you're driving. There are people who run for office because they want to lower taxes, right? I don't agree with that, but I do agree with the fact that they know what they're running on, right? So I think I really recommend that women spend some serious alone time to really think, what are your values? What is driving you? What do you care about? For me, and why do you care? Like, what is it in your life experience that made that the big priority for you? I worked for a short period of time on a contract at the Boys and Girls Club. And I was a board member at Big Sisters for a long time. And those experiences really brought me face to face with the challenges that some kids in our community face, economic challenges, other challenges as well. And those were the kids that whenever I was kind of like, where do I go with this? I thought about those kids. Like I literally thought about those kids, and they motivated me to do the right thing. So when I had the chance, when I was Minister of Training Colleges, Universities, I totally reformed OSAT so that everybody could get their tuition and their living expenses and their books and everything covered if they needed that. Yeah. And I was thinking about those kids at Boys and Girls Club. I was thinking about those kids at Big Sisters, and that's who I did it for. So. it makes it easier to do hard work when you know why you're doing it.
Yes, that's very true. Yeah, thank you very much for that. Very inspirational, and really all the work that you've done. I'm someone that's very focused also in like the social justice aspect of it. So everything you've done really has been great work. I find a lot of admiration in that. So I wanted to thank you again for your insight and your time. And I hope we can maybe keep in touch during the rest of this campaign.
Absolutely.
See how everything goes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
luck.